All right, everybody. All right, everybody. Seems I'm coming to you guys loud and clear. This is your host, Gaming Odyssey, signing in again just to give you guys an update on what's really going on. As you guys have seen, there are like three Luna decks that have been presented to us this season for the anti-spell event, and I just wanted to provide you guys with some kind of a knowledge on how to play those decks. Now, many of the decks don't come with a tutorial, so my idea is to always try to find ways to, to help you guys understand how to play the decks, and hopefully you guys can move from such a beginner level to a more, how would I say, a more pro level slash intermediate level, But during the course of this video, I intend to show you guys how Dynamorph is being played, so that way you know how the other deck is being played. So I don't have to create a tutorial on that deck. You guys can actually see the gameplay and know how to play the deck. So I don't need to show the tutorial for that one, because I know nobody's going to be touching this deck. This deck is actually the worst out of the three of them. It's the worst. To some degree, it's very unplayable, but I managed to be able to, have an understanding on it, and that's why I'm sharing it with you guys, just in case you guys wanted to pick up the deck and see how things are. So, without much further ado, let's get into it. Now, what are the bread and butter of the decks? The bread and butter are three things. I think maybe about 4 or 5 things or so, but it depends on how you want to look at it. The first one is this card, Amazement Ambassador. It's a very great card, especially when you just normal summon it. You can actually use it to pull a trap card from the graveyard and also change up where the trap card is pointing. Okay, that's the good thing about it. It's one of the good cards in the deck. Another good card in the deck is this card, basically, which allows you to actually special summon it whenever there's a trap card that goes off on the field. You can actually special summon it, and then when your opponent actually summons a monster, you can actually go ahead and pick up a trap card and place a trap card on that monster. You can also destroy your graveyard by banishing three trap cards associated with the Amazement, and then using that to destroy the cards on the field. So the amount of cards that you banish is equivalent to the amount of cards you can actually destroy on the field. And then the last card that brings it all together, in my personal opinion, is Time Thief Redoer. It's one of your go-to cards that you're going to be able to bring out real early in the game, and it can help you determine the course of action for the rest of the game. So just beware of that. The rest of the other cards I've not been able to summon while I've been playing the deck, but I can tell you one thing, that I'm sure that if you start getting into those cards and be able to summon them easily, then you might have some victories on the field. As you guys know, you have I think 2 removers on the field that are monster base related. The first one is Ajafin Eccentric. That's your first remover. Okay, and then your second remover that is a monster is actually this card here. Although we're not counting this card, but we're counting this card because this card actually have the ability to reduce a monster to 0 or to their lowest attack or defense when you put it in the column, one of the pendulum columns, one of the spots in the pendulum areas. Okay. Another great card again in this deck is the Ice Dragon Prison, which is great. And now I'm going to go ahead and introduce the rest of the deck. Okay, I already introduced this card. I told you guys this card is a card that actually allows you to pick up something from the graveyard, a card from the graveyard, put it in the spell and trap column, and then attach it to a monster, and actually you can actually change up who the trap card actually belongs to. This card is a very versatile card. I would say that if somebody's trying to attack you, you can actually make whatever the attack is to be 0. And again, if this card is in the graveyard, you can actually send it out. As you can see right here, it says you can banish this card from your graveyard and add one performage monster from your deck. And many times when you're trying to get out one performance monster, you're trying to get out this card, which is going to be the Delia, or you're trying to get out maybe this card, which is the buffo, you know. But it depends on you what you need. Sometimes you might even want to go for this card because you want to make somebody's monster's attack or defense equal to 0 or less than what they currently have on the field. So like I said, there's just many ways of playing this card. This card is very, very versatile. It does a lot for you, especially keeping you alive, but only maybe for 1 turn or 2 or so on and so forth. It's a great card. This card again never really had a lot of interaction with it. I just personally didn't use it. I didn't want to even bother myself with it, but I'm sure you guys will figure it out as you guys play the card. Okay, this card basically you can special summon it if you have 2 or more monsters on the field, but here's the problem: you barely have 2 or more monsters on the field at any given time while you're playing this game. And the only time you ever get 2 or more monsters is if you have this card in your hand. That's the only time, and barely do you even have that kind of opportunity to actually have that card. So this card barely had any distance with it, you know. Alright, and also you can make any kind of damage, any kind of effect damage that they want to give to you. So something like Dynamorph. This card is very good at Dynamorph. Okay, so basically, if you have this card and you're dealing with Dynamorphs, yeah, you could definitely be lucky, you know, and it can save your hide. So it's a good card. This card, well, like I said, this card many a time if it's destroyed, you can actually resummon it again. But at the same time, you're gonna take 1,000 damage, and its attack is gonna be 0. So it's a good way to kind of like be stubborn on the field. So when your card is being destroyed, you can resummon it again. So just a way to be stubborn on the field. This card is great. Basically, you can set one a trap card directly from your deck. Okay, so that's the one thing I like about this card. You basically can get any of the trap cards out from your deck to help you out, you know. Any of your attraction trap card only. This card I already explained it to you. This is almost like the MVP to some degree, that allows you to just crank up your system, crank up your deck. So basically, this is your starter card. If you don't have this card, it's going to be hard for you to accelerate anything. So this card is the card for you to start almost everything with. Now, here's the kicker. If you have this card in your hand and you have a trap already on the field, yeah, sure, this card can actually help you start things off. But many of the times, you want to go for this card. This is the card that actually brings everything together for you to have your board rolling, you know. And if they destroy it, well, you're in trouble. This card is a go turn one card basically. So if it's a turn 1, you can basically just special summon this card, you know, and that's what it is. I think this deck is basically built around trying to stop the Dynamorphs from gaining a foothold, because a lot of times you have this Dynamorph card that actually causes damage to you whenever your monster activates its effect. So I'm guessing that this amazement deck is basically designed to counteract Dynamorphs when they're trying to do damage to you. I'm thinking that's what it is. So if you play against Dynamorphs, you know how to play this deck, then yeah, you'll do fine. I already introduced this card. This card needs no introduction. You guys know what it is. And then this card, it has 2 effects. but I like to use the pendulum effect, which is more like making the attack and defense to the smallest possible number that I can get it to. This card, you already know what it is. It's a destruction effect. This card, you already know, stop them in their tracks. This card, you already know, summon a monster and then banish, a card that is similar to it on the field. Okay, so now here it is right now. Okay, this card, actually, I don't know what this card does. I never had the opportunity to play it. Many a time I just toss it in the trash. Yeah, but the good thing about it is that I never had an opportunity. That's it. So if you guys figure out what it is, if you guys get an opportunity to do so, then there you go. I'm sure it does something. We can basically read here. We can basically read what it is. Basically, it's a mind control of some sort. But like I said, I never had an opportunity to use it. Neither am I going to sit down there and bother myself. But yes, it might come in hand. But like I said, this deck is the poorest made deck out of the three. Alright. This is another removal based on the traps, basically. So if you put this trap card. So okay, now I want to explain something about the amazement cards, amazement trap cards. And you guys have to pay very close attention, okay? There are two ways to use the amazement trap cards. You can either attach it to your own monster or you attach it to their own monster. So if you attach it to your own monster, then you can do this. If you attach it to their own monster, then you can do this. It's as simple as that. Okay? So basically this is your jar of greed. Many of them I use it as jar of greed, or I can use it as a windstorm, or what do you call this thing again? Heavy storm duster. Exactly. I use it as a partial heavy storm duster. But barely do I use it. The only time I might use it is if I have this card on the field, then I'll use it as a heavy storm duster. But most of the time, I try to use it as a way to add one more card to my deck, to my hand, basically. That's the way I use it. This card, on the other hand, this card is what I call, how do I say, just maybe a recycler. Okay, a recycler. So basically, it recycles the attack and defense, and it also allows you to push one card back into your deck and then draw one card. So I call it a recycler. It recycles attack and defense and the card in your hand. This card is just something that allows you to alternate the attack and defense by 500. That's what it is. Nothing more than that. It's a useless card. I normally toss it out most of the time. I don't bother myself because it doesn't really make a change during the game. With the modern day Yu-Gi-Oh, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it's in the right spot for it to be here. But if it was in the past when you had just simple things, then yes, it would be wise for you to always push it on your own monster in order to get the 500 attack. Alright. But here's the situation. In as much as it does the 500 attack and defense, right, for this card, you can actually use it as a way to safeguard your cards. But for me personally, with the way it is, with this heavy storm duster in almost everybody's deck, it's almost useless. Okay. This one again is I've never used this card. I usually toss this card away. But basically, you can use this card to just target one card in your opponent's graveyard and recycle the card. and then push the card back into the deck. Or the second part is, I don't know. It just, you can change the card's position, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it's a card that I want to use or have in my hand. So many times I just use it as a toss for this card right here. So that's what I do. Now this is my go-to card. Okay. Basically, it tries to stop them from. I mean, basically, I'm trying to send their cards back to their hand, or changing the monster to face down defense. That's usually what I use it for. Those two things, and then my go-to card almost every single time is I put this on my own monster, and if they attack me, then I change the position of my own monster until the end of the battle phase. That way, my own monster doesn't. I mean, I don't get the battle damage. So let's just say you have a big monster coming at you, and this is equipped to your own monster. Well, guess what? You can actually just change position of your own card. That way, the other card cannot, that big monster cannot attack you anymore. And then at the end of the battle phase, it just comes back. So you're not going to lose your card regardless. You know, yeah. And it also does the same thing, I think, as this one too. All right, now let's get into this deck. Personally, I'm not even going to go through all of this. You guys can decide what you guys want to do. But the card that I use is this card, Redoer. I'll use this card too. You guys already know what it is, and then any other thing that you can grab while you can, because many times this deck doesn't allow you to actually build anything. But with more time, maybe if you play, you'll be able to find ways of building better things, basically. You know, so yeah. All right. With that said, let's get right into the game. Let's see what actually I did, and hopefully you guys can actually see how the situation went. So this is going to be opponent's deck. Is playing the other card, that was presented. So the first one, that's what he's playing. Okay, so check this out. Let's go. So I'm going first, and I believe I told you guys that this guy is the opener. Okay, you just reveal one card in your hand, boom, you get to special summon it. As you guys can see through to form, I always toss this card out. Okay, I always toss it out. Like I said, I don't see any use for it in this game, but hey, it is what it is. Boom. Okay, now before I say anything, guys, that was a mistake. That wasn't supposed to happen. I was basically trying to understand what the cards meant. And the way this thing is presented is this. Sometimes it will give you a world view of time thief, and then on the other hand it will give you a clock of time thief. So many of the times you want to click the clock of time thief in order to be able to pick up a card from their own area, not from your own area. So that was me not understanding how time thief is played in this game. So there's some confusion from time to time. So again, I'm going to repeat this again. When you see the clock for the time thief, there's a clock, okay, and there's a world one for the time thief. So one, you will see a world, and one, you see a clock. If you see the one that's a clock, that means it's time for you to steal a card from your opponent. Okay, if you see the one that's a world, that means you want to basically activate what time thief does. So that's what it is. Now you guys see why I like this card also. Okay, it may not be the best, but it's a follow-up card. Always remember to have that card in your hand, you know, as a follow-up card. Always great for you to pick up your cards. And like I said before, again, one of the things I like to pick up is the Viking Vortex. So there you guys go. So there you see, as you guys can see, I didn't make that mistake. I knew when to go for the other one, and then that was it. Alright, scooped out of there and call it a day. Now you guys are going to watch the second one. Now what I want you guys to do is to keep this one in mind. This is the second deck. From the other side, this is the other deck. I've forgotten what it's called, something like Evolution or whatever it is. So this is the other deck. So I'm not going to go through this Evolution one. I want you guys to watch the second match and then understand how to play the Evolution one from there. Okay? Alright guys. So basically, all three decks were showcased during this session. So you guys, whichever one you guys want to look at, you guys want to look at. But I think my own, the one that I showed you guys with the Overlord deck, is the better one. That again, like I told you, I always toss that card out. Oh no. Ah. I still believe that dinos are the strongest out of the three though. That was a mistake. That was a mistake. So you see that card is going out, being banished. And then he decided that he was going to special summon. And that was my mistake again. Another mistake, which I shouldn't have done. I should have waited until he summoned, then I would have sent that card away. But I didn't do that. Mistake again. Should have waited for him to bring out the other monster and then send it back. This is the time I would have sent this card out. Especially during damage calculation, I think. That was a mistake on my part. So another mistake, like I said, is just a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. What I should have done here was use this card on this card. Right? So if I had used this card on this card, well, guess what would have happened? He would have gone ahead and then mixed it up. And then I could have brought this card in to do whatever he needed to do. But I didn't do that. I messed up. That's how I lost the game. And then he activated a trap. Now I had to show up. But the problem is, I couldn't even attack it. Nope. Said nope. The game was still far from over. And then I stupidly made a mistake here. I shouldn't even have done that. I should have just kept my cool and maybe he wouldn't have activated that effect. But then, there we go. So guys, that's all she wrote. Alright guys, it's been a pleasure. I'll see you guys on the next stream. Until then, take it easy. It's been almost 30 minutes explaining this deck, so yeah, I know you guys are tired of hearing my voice. Alright guys, take it easy. Until the next episode, stay safe and enjoy the anti-spell event. Bye.